we've all been watching the promo for Dragon Ball Heroes. Some enjoying it, some not so much. If they ever decide, which it seems like it may be going that way soon, if they ever decide to do an American version of that, are you willing to spend money? Because in order to play that game to its fullest, you have to buy the scan cards. Right? And that right there is...
It almost sounds like one of the original Digimon games.
It's an integral part of the game. Now, they tried to do that with sports games in the arcade a few years ago in the early 2000s. It didn't go well. Do you think Dragon Ball Heroes has a chance in America? Think about
it. With the way... What, these kids, this generation nowadays? Yeah.
Okay.
With this generation, yes. If Dragon Ball Heroes came out during our generation, when we got big into the gaming and stuff, it wouldn't have survived.
Now, do you think, as a longtime fan of Dragon Ball, do you see you to spending money on cards in order to play a virtual game?
If you really look at it, it's kind of no different than Yu-Gi-Oh!
I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's really no different. For that, it's really no different than if we were to go out and buy a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
But are you telling me that if this Switch version becomes global, they have to buy cards to play the game on the Switch?
That's exactly what happened in Japan. When the first...
No, they have an arcade game.
Yeah, they have the arcade version.
I would have to rebuttal the fact that the Switch doesn't necessarily have a feature to scan something.
It's on the card. It's on the card itself. You scan it on the where we play the amiibo. Screen. So in order for you,
that's how the arcade edition the arcade is in Japan. It's a double screen like a DS.
Now that's not the only.
Then you would put the card on the screen, and the screen would read it.
Now that's not the only Japanese game that has that functionality, but but that's a good example. But they, just like when over here arcades were a thing, and then boom, they crashed. They excelled over in Japan. It never crashed over there. Arcade on top of arcade on top of arcade, with new functionalities. You know what I'm saying? So, question for you as an American fan: can you see yourself, in order to progress further in the game, buying physical cards, then scanning them in order to play through the rest?
No.
That includes characters. That includes microtransactions. If you want that mastered Super Saiyan Broly, you might have to get the card.
No, I can't see myself spending money on cards each and every time something newer, better comes out.
But you would do it for a new DLC pack,
just to play the game.
But you would for a new DLC pack.
I'm not having to go out and buy cards though.
But that's the only difference. You don't have to go out and buy something physical.
All you gotta do is just hit click out of my account. Here's the DLC. Download. We're good.
To my understanding, you may be limited in the in-game itself.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding correctly.
If you don't buy the cards.
If you don't buy the cards.
Exactly.
Now, that would turn me off because normally the games where I play, you don't necessarily have to spend any money to build yourself up to where you want to be.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think it's a worthwhile idea to necessarily rely on a feature like that to build yourself up properly to where you want to be exactly in the game, when you could probably do that better in the game.
But that's the style, But that's the style of game for this. It's not like when they tried to give us. Remember when they tried to give us a Dragon Ball game for the Kinect?
Yeah.
That was horrible because the Kinect itself wasn't that great. With this scanning feature, not only will you get more characters, but you'll also be able to progress within the story. When we played Yu-Gi-Oh, you brought up Yu-Gi-Oh. When we played Yu-Gi-Oh, the biggest thing was to beef up your deck, right? It had nothing to do with the overall storyline of whatever Yu-Gi-Oh game you were playing, because for the most part, it was just you playing the card game itself. But if you were playing as one player, like in the PlayStation days, it actually had a story akin to the show. So in order for you to beef up your deck and get more powerful cards, you had to use those code numbers that came on the side of the card, punch them in.
You're talking about Duelist Kingdom for PS2.
Yeah, punch them in physically and do it that way.
I honestly think, now, I've heard a little bit about the game. I haven't heard too much. But from what I heard, I didn't necessarily hear that it was going to enable that feature where you had to scan cards.
You haven't seen the trailers, have you?
But it could. And if development takes it this way, I think it'll be more worth their while in the long run. Where they have a similar feature to, like, for example, Hero Coliseum on Xenoverse, where you actually play the game, you win, you go through the story, whatever the case may be, you get a certain amount of coinage, and you can use that coinage on the online shop in-game to buy cards that way.
So you would, once again, it's buying digital cards.
Like, it's already, like, made in the game itself.
Right. So he's basically saying if it deals with digital,
he has no problem.
He has no problem with it. But if he has to go out and buy spend money on physical copies of the card.
Listen to what I was saying again, though. If you're playing the game already, you're going through the story, you're going through the mission, time quest, whatever the case may be for that game. As you complete each quest, you get a certain amount of coins as currency, as the game's primary currency.
No, I mean, you're making this seem like more like a Xenoverse style game.
If you get a certain type of currency in the game by completing quests, then you could actually buy the cards in the eShop instead of, getting a variable price, like for Yu-Gi-Oh cards, for example, where if you wanted to have the beefiest shit or the best shit, you're paying like $74 per card or some shit like that.
Or $4.99 for a fucking pack of 6.
Like when the packs first came out.
Technically, in the in-game, that currency would technically be free currency, and you wouldn't be spending a dime on that currency because you're earning it in the game.
Now, I can already see part of this. The only problem I can see is exactly what everyone's done with the amiibos. If you want a certain amiibo, you gotta give them some serious dough on eBay shops or anything else because you can't find it anywhere because some of them are so rare. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with cards, but it was the same thing with Pokemon cards. It was the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then when they started putting these game shops up here, I'm talking specifically America because I can't speak for any other market. They started giving you these solo cards and jacking up the price based on the rarity of the card. Now, and right now, this is still hypothetical because I don't know if they're ever going to do this. But think about it. Like, say they have an arcade machine, say at like Dave & Buster's or something, right? And we're going to, and we want to see the newest content or the newest story for Dragon Ball Heroes. We got to go in with our cards in order to do it, right? Instead of just going off and then just scanning a card, paying some money to play. So you would not like join us in a couple battles.
I'm saying for an American style release of
it wouldn't make it in America. I can tell you that right now. Because everybody when it comes to like what you were saying, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. That card game, Dragon Ball Heroes, would come to America and fizzle right out after the first month because of what you said. Nobody's going to want to go out and buy the cards.
Exactly.
Which is what they are originally planning on doing if you watch all the promo material for it. It'll sell like fucking hot cakes on a fucking IHOP Wednesday out in Europe and the rest of the world because they are not so fucking glued to their digital shit.
That's why people still go out to arcades.
Right.
Like
but
when arcade.
I'm saying, right.
Yeah.
So
this is correct, but I'm saying like for the American market, like we were saying.
Yeah, it's not. It'll
tank.
It's going to tank.
Do it that way.
The only way that'll get saved is I hate to say it like they did with the Godzilla game, the Pachinko game. Mm-hmm. It was originally supposed to be released worldwide for America and all that. The only thing that saved that game was putting it in a casino.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of that style of game. That's the thing that kind of bites.
Yeah, but that would probably be the only thing that would save Dragon Ball Heroes in America.
If they decide to bring it to America.
Yeah, if they decide to bring it to America, it would have to go be like something that you would see that they would get in an amusement park.
Right.
Right? Because it's an arcade game.
But say you didn't have to, I already know the answer to this, but say you didn't have to get the cards.
And it was all digital?
It
would probably fucking boom.
It would skyrocket. Now,
because unfortunately, we Americans are lazy and don't like to go out and buy things. It's all got to be digital.
They do that with the Switch on its release. They still have plenty of time to work on things for the game before they release it. Now, like I said, if they added a prime currency, the game would do well because they could earn that while playing the game.
So, but my fellow kaiju maniacs,
we can definitely talk about this further
for fucking hours and hours and hours. But we want to know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you click the subscribe and like button and hit those notifications, man, so we can smash.
Right.
This is Zilla Grimm,
Elder Tenchi,
and JJ Dogfire.
Smashing out.
Peace.